Hey guys, a lot of you have been asking about me doing another run of limited edition t-shirts, but the good news is we have listened and we are doing it. Check this out. This is the Smoking Tire vintage t-shirt. Comes in black, gray, or blue. And here's the kicker. I'm only selling it for 10 days. If you want one, you gotta buy it now. The sale ends on August 19th, and you buy one by going to the link in this video or clicking the annotation, but for 10 days only, and that's it. They're good material, they're a reasonable price, and it's the classic Smoking Tire logo in a cool new vintage look. Check it out. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Aspen, Colorado. It's ridiculously beautiful up here, and Jaguar has invited me on the media launch for the XE and F-Pace. And today we're in the F-Pace. In fact, it's the F-Pace S. This one in beautiful Italian racing red with 22-inch rims. Those rims cost $4,000, by the way. You could probably skip those. But this one has pretty much every option, from the tech pack, driver assistance pack, special colors, and of course it is the S. So the S starts at $56,000. The base F-Pace starts at $48,000, and this one with every single option pretty much you can get in it is $74,000. So we're gonna go have a go down this spectacular mountain road here, and we'll see what it can do. There we go. All right, the F-Pace, XE, and XF are all on the same architecture, just adjusted a bit for length in the case of the sedans and height in the case of the F-Pace. It's got the 380 horsepower supercharged 3-liter 6. You get the 340 horse engine with the base car, and truth be told, the engines don't feel all that much different. The extra 40 horsepower comes up top, and unless you're really wringing it out like I'm going to do on this drive, honestly, you almost can't tell the difference. The S only makes 7 pound-feet of torque, so more than the base one, and so unless you're winding it out, the two powertrains feel almost identical. You also get red brake calipers, better seats and steering wheel with the F-Pace S, and you get the metal shift paddles, which I really do like. That adds a premium feel over the plastic ones. This thing weighs around 4,200 pounds, I'm told, so it's around 500 pounds heavier than the XE, and for that you get standard all-wheel drive in America anyway. You can get two-wheel drive in Europe. And for now, the only engines available in America are the 6s. The diesel will come later next year. Like the XE, it sounds really good. It has the same ZF 8-speed gearbox. A lot of the interior is the same as well. It's just lifted up and made into a bit of a wagon. Holds a lot of stuff in the trunk. The back seats are comfortable. And believe it or not, you know, it dances pretty good. You still get the double wishbone front suspension in the F-Pace, and so it does manage bumps in the road and corners really, really well. There's not a lot of terrain I've seen so far that will upset this thing, even under pretty sporty driving conditions. The brakes are good. They are pretty effective. The red brake calipers look much better than the standard brake calipers. I'll give them that. The standard brake calipers are just, they work fine, but they're just ugly looking, and the red brake calipers look much, much better. Very refined in here. You don't get a ton of noise from the outside world. You get some engine. Look out for that cyclist on the way back. On the outside, though, it sounds mean, man. It sounds F-Type like. Not quite as loud, but you could fix that if you wanted. The ZF 8-speed gearbox is responsive as always. not a whole lot of body roll in these corners for a crossover. I mean, I don't know if it's translating to camera so well, but I'm going pretty quick here. Got the Pirelli Throttle tires. And this thing gets up and goes really, really good. It's got the Meridian 825 watt stereo, which sounds great. Meridian stereos in all the Jag and Land Rover products, the top end ones, are really, really nice sounding units. It wouldn't help us at all for me to play you music right now, but just take my word for it. Let's see. Downsides, are there any? Very few, actually. You can make this thing pretty expensive. I don't know if this necessarily feels like $74,000, although, again, truth be told, I drove a very basic $48,000 one yesterday, and a lot of the stuff is the same. I'll tell you what I would get for sure. I would get the base S with the upgraded nav. There's two navs you can get, the small screen and the big screen. The big screen isn't just a bigger screen, it also has a much faster processor and comes with the better speakers. I would get that. I would also get, and I believe that's just called the technology package. I would also get the optional suede headliner, which is dope. And honestly, that's about it. Maybe the comfort package for cooled seats. So my perfect F-Pace S is around 65 grand. And that to me seems like the sweet spot for one of these. But trust me, if you were to get just a base model, dynamically it's almost the same. What you're missing out on is the sports steering wheel, the sports seats, and because you get smaller wheels and not quite the same tire, the handling isn't quite as sharp. It's a little sharper in the S. But this thing hustles. It gets through these windy roads really, really good. Here's my U-turn spot. For a crossover here, that's a really good turning radius. Good turning radius. And here we go. I like this thing a lot. So, where does it fit in the market? It's sportier than an X3, for sure. It's, I would say, on par with an X5 Sport package, maybe a little sharper in the handling than an X5, though not an X5M. And the good news is the V8 will fit in this, so Jaguar may grace us with a V8 powered F-Pace at some point, and that would make Matt a very happy boy. Feels pretty light on its feet. For a 4,200 pound vehicle, you know, you don't really know it through the steering. It has good steering feel, it's predictable, handles well. It stops well. I'm not sure I'd want to take it to a track day, but the brakes are holding up to this type of driving really well, and it's fun. It's a fun thing to drive. Really good linear throttle response, smooth, even power. Nothing jumps out at you. Everything is predictable. It's really, I guess the word is composed. It has very few vices. The only the only downsides I can really see are that it can get expensive and that the materials and stuff on the base cars aren't as nice as the more expensive cars, but that's pretty universal. The ringer is, of course, the Porsche Macan, which is more of a sports hatchback than even a real crossover. This is a little bigger than that. Not quite as sharp, not quite as fast as that, but that's also smaller and more expensive. If you really need to use the back seat a lot, this has a bigger back seat than a Macan. It also has a bigger trunk than a Macan. And I actually drove it off-road a bit yesterday too. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's got enough ground clearance to get through some stuff. It has hill ascent and descent control. The ascent control is basically like a very low-speed cruise control for climbing up hills. And I tried it, and it works really well. You can also get this thing called like the activity bracelet, which is $400, and it's a little RFID waterproof bracelet. So if you go kayaking or sailing, or you're doing any kind of activity where you don't want to carry your key, you can just put on this bracelet and lock the key in the car, and the key gets disabled when you use the bracelet. And oh, I got some funkiness there. I guess I cut the line a little bit, and my lane departure system kicked in and tried to shove me back on the side of the road. Forgot to turn that off. So the activity bracelet, you can basically leave the keys in the car and go about your business, and know your car and your belongings will still be here when you return, and you don't lose or ruin a very expensive key. You also get an app. You can remote start from the app on your phone, which is pretty cool. You can do that in many cars, but this is one of them. Unlike the XE, the F-Pace has the full, or this F-Pace anyway, has the full digital gauge cluster, which is nice and clear and uses those cool shadowing effects that Jag Land Rover love to use in their digital displays. And it's really one of the, it's not messy or fussy, it's just a clean design. Yep, see, that's my forward collision alert telling me that I was approaching a cyclist at a high rate of speed. It's looking out for me, the Jag, although I also have eyes. Actually, my only real complaint about this car at all is the name. F-Pace is a weird name, especially when you consider Jaguar's longtime slogan, Grace, Space, Pace. It sounds like someone went, well, F-Pace. Or, conversely, you could be going really fast and someone goes, F-Pace. It goes either way, but it's a strange name. I know how hard it is in the world of global copyright law to come up with a good name that hasn't been used before, but that's a weird name. Nevertheless, the weird name is attached to a really nice car. It's it has, I'm telling you, it has very few vices so far. I mean, maybe its vice is that it turns out it's horribly unreliable, and I don't know, that could happen. But so far on my 200 or so miles of driving behind the wheel of the F-Pace, I've grown to really enjoy it. I think it's a nice vehicle, and it can be masculine or it can be feminine. You can make it super nice with the two-tone leather and the great stereo and everything, or you can keep it pretty basic and get the styling and the dynamics that you're going for without having to spend a whole lot of money. So I'm a fan of the thing. I think it drives great. It's comfortable. It's a good little vehicle. And so I'd like to thank Jaguar for having me to their press event here in Aspen. It's a beautiful place to drive a sports car, or in this case a crossover. And I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching. I appreciate your support through the many years I've been doing this, and thanks to you, I'm going to keep doing it. So back to California for me, and that's a couple of Jags for you, and I'll see you guys later.